Greetings in the name of Jesus Christ, and hopefully you can hear me. I'm recording just off the phone. Found a nice spot to let you look at. It is rather pleasant. I had a dream just a week ago. What was interesting is when I had the dream, I was phoned that morning and by a friend in France. I'm in England, and they also had a dream, which is amazing. So I'm going to share my dream and I want to share their dream, and hopefully you'll be blessed by this. My dream was there was going to be access allowed into schools where groups, somehow the gospel is going to be able to be shared. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to take place, but that's what I was shown, going into schools and being able to share with the children about Jesus. I got the feeling that it was going to be a supernatural event. There was something extremely spiritual about it. The children understood, and that understanding changed their motivation. Some event is going to happen whereby some Christians are going to be allowed into schools. I was reminded of the fact of a time when, many years ago in the 70s, I had a dream or an impression or a vision, I'm not quite sure, it was a long time ago, of where fairgrounds were going to be travelling around the UK. I'm in the UK, of course, and those fairgrounds were going to be basically promoting Jesus Christ, sharing the good news, telling the gospel, and people were going to be flocking there and being converted. Events taking place as though a revival is coming. That's got my impression. And it's going to be with the children, and it's going to be in the UK, and it's going to be all over the UK. Well, that seems impossible, doesn't it? Well, of course it does, especially with the system that's in place today. So my friend phoned me from France, and she shared with me how she'd had a dream the same morning. She was working in harvest fields. Well, she saw all these women working in the harvest fields, and she saw children working with them as well. What was amazing about the children is they were focused, not distracted, motivated, unlike modern children, just wanting to get on with the job, motivated and understanding what they needed to do. And there was women there working in the fields, and they were planting wheat, and that wheat was growing up quickly in readiness for harvest. While she was there seeing all this, and surprised at the children's ability to focus, and that's all they wanted to do, she was so surprised by that. Then what happened was a woman with a baby wanted to let the baby rest, but as she did, there was a young lion there, a young lion cub or a young lion, and the woman was scared. And my friend said, I got the awareness that the young lion cub was there to protect us for security. Anyway, she said, I will go and distract the lion, my friend said, and whilst I distract the lion, you can let the baby rest. And so that's what she did. She went and started dancing with this young lion cub, and what she noticed was, as she was dancing with it, the lion cub started to become more mature until it became a fully mature lion, and all the time she was dancing with it. I got the impression that what is about to take place is a supernatural event. She's in France. A revival is going to happen, a very unusual revival, one we haven't seen before, and it's going to be very big. How it's going to take place, I have no idea. We all know that many people are very conscious of the fact the rapture's soon. What the Lord's shown me and told me specifically is that the first fruits of the wheat harvest will be taken first. They'll go to be heaven. They'll have a personal confrontation with Jesus Christ. They'll be transformed, informed, educated, and then they will return to work in preparing for the actual rapture, which will be a vast event. So that's what I understand, that's what I've been told, and others have been told the same, that that's what's going to happen, that some are going to be taken, prepared, trained, and then returned. So that's what I understand is going to take place, and others have been told the same. People I don't know, I've come across them, I've been led to them on YouTube, and I've been surprised how much their message is like mine. What they've been shown in dreams, I've been actually spoken to directly, and that's what's going to happen. Amazing things. We're on the verge of something amazing. Now, on the one hand, we see events happening globally, the silver bullet that's being placed into people globally to treat them for something that they say is taking place. It is time for you to wake up. If you're not awake, well, you might actually be listening to this after the first fruits have been taken and challenging times start happening. Notice the lion was there for their security. And during that time, it will be most challenging. It will be most challenging. That's what the Lord's told me. There's going to be a kick-off event. That kick-off event happens as a result of the first fruits going. The first fruits go at the kick-off event. Then they come back and it is challenging. Okay. Interestingly, Jesus took Peter, James and John, just 3 of them, up to the mountains of transfiguration and was transformed, and they had a personal encounter with him in his glorified body. And then they came back down the mountain, and Jesus said to the group that he came down to, the people, "You faithless generation." I understand that symbolizes this time we're coming to. We're in a faithless generation. Many, many Christians have no faith whatsoever. They say they do, they think they do, they believe they do, but the vast majority of Christians I come across do not know what Jesus says and do not believe what he says. The vast majority are unfortunately religious, and they live very immoral lives. They live sexually immoral lives. They have sexual relationships with those they're not married to. They live with people they're not married to. Then we have the situations where much of what Paul says about walking the Christian life in a moral standard, and Jesus said, is ignored. Christendom has decided, Jesus, you're wrong. This is a different generation. Well, unfortunately, he's not wrong. I'm sorry. And so very few are going to be chosen to be taken. Many will be called at the right time, but few will be chosen to work in this harvest field. They're going to be quite, what the Lord's told me, they're going to be utterly supernatural and amazing gifted. And many others have been told this. So, I'm sharing these dreams. I understand we're on the cusp of something dramatic happening. But some terrible event that's going to be really scary is going to take place, and that will mark it. If you're not awake and you're not aware, if you're watching the media, if you're listening to the media and what is being told to you, then I feel sorry for you. I genuinely feel sorry for you. You're utterly deceived. To find out the truth is hard work. To find out what's really going on is not easy. And what is going on is so unbelievably unbelievable, it's hard to believe it's happening. Even for me, and I know, I've got all the evidence, I now know, and I find it difficult to believe what's going on. But it's happening. It is taking place. And so what's the message? Well, whoever you are, wherever you are, you need to be ready for Jesus Christ. So how do you get ready? Well, he's coming for his followers, those who follow him. Listen to what he says, and it's there in Matthew, Mark, Luke and John, and in the book of Revelation, especially chapters 2 and 3 of Revelation. They know what he says, and they take heed with significant focus to the point where they change the way they live. They actually do what he says do. And in Matthew 15 and Mark 7, Jesus points out what people are not to do, what defiles them. And so we're not to do that. And so the people he's coming for are those whom diligently seek to do what he says do and not do what he says don't do. And yes, there is a high price in doing that. It's not easy. It's a challenge. It's difficult. You have to deny yourself, because we live in a world just like the Romans lived at the time of Jesus, where basically anything goes. If it's okay for you, in your opinion, if you think it's okay, basically it's generally legal. It's called subjectivism, as C.S. Lewis spoke about during the Second World War. They removed that video off YouTube, his message on subjectivism. We're in dark days, and yet the earth proclaims the glory of God. What's the glory of God? It's the view and opinion and the goodness of God. So I see the trees and the grass, and I hear the rain, and I see the sunshine, and God's view and opinion is still enforced upon this world, whether they like it or not. And I know many don't like it. But the trees are still growing, food is still being produced, and the rain is falling and the sun is shining. And God's glory covers this world. His view and opinion is still established. There are fish in the sea, there are animals, there are cows producing milk. God spoke in Genesis chapter 1, and it's still taking place. The glory of God is all over planet Earth. Well, be encouraged. It's time for you to be ready. And being ready is simply setting aside that time to get to know Jesus Christ, to talk to him, to listen to him, to ask him if there's anything in your life that is not pleasing to him, and if there is, remove it. And if you can't, if you feel you can't, ask him to give you the strength. When you notice something's wrong, ask him to bring around the transformation. And he does it supernaturally. And when he does it, say thank you. We're approaching a time when they're going to want to put some sign on your body. You must not take that. Read Revelation. If you take that sign, doesn't matter what the church or Christendom tells you, if you take that on your body, apparently there is no opportunity for you to go to heaven, for you to be forgiven. Do not take it. It's coming. Don't walk into it blindly. It'll be to do with buying and selling, and without it you won't be able to buy and sell. Be wise and be careful. Shalom.